comic book fans, and welcome to another exciting edition of Cammy's Comic Corner. I'm your host as always, Cammy. Now, this week was a very nervous week for me for comics. A lot of good titles were coming out, and one in particular I wasn't sure if I was going to like or not, but it turns out to be my pick of the week. So, without further ado, from DC Comics, we have, as the pick of the week, Batman and Robin #1, written by Grant Morrison and art by Frank Quitely. Now, the thing I really enjoyed about this, it harkened back to the All-Star Superman stuff that these two did together. It was fun, the art fit very well, and Grant Morrison, he usually has a couple of moods. Either he has a good comic book making mood or a bad one, like R.I.P. and Final Crisis. He was in the good on this one. We follow the new Batman and Robin, Dick and Damian. Now, quick shout out. On the final Battle of the Cowl podcast that I did, I accidentally said that Tim was the new Batman. No. It was even on my cards and everything. It was Dick. It was just a slip of the tongue. And thank you for all you hundreds of people who told me that I was wrong. I got that. So anyway, we find Dick and Damian going after this wild Mr. Toad, or Mr. Toad as he goes along on this wild ride. And after apprehending the suspect in their cool new flying Batmobile, they find out that he's being paid in dominoes. And this is interesting. Why do drug dealers want dominoes? But meanwhile, back at the new headquarters, it's no longer at Wayne Manor. It is now at the Wayne Tower. The Batcave is underneath the building while they all live in the actual tower itself. Damian still thinks he should be Batman. Damian is the stallion that hasn't been broken yet, but really needs to be, because he needs a good smack in the mouth. But in the meantime, we are introduced to this new villain named Pig, P-Y-G, and he's kind of a cosmetic surgeon of sorts, and it'll be interesting to see him going up against the new Batman and Robin. Gorgeous art by Frank Quitely. Instead of the big boom or kapows, you get whatever the elements around them are. Like boom will be like you see the words boom in the fire, or splash, you see it in the water. It's very, very kick-ass stuff. And Grant Morrison at the helm, I'm actually trusting him this time around. So I had a fantastic time. If you've been wanting to read Batman and Robin but don't know where to jump onto, this is the perfect jumping on point. So go out and get it today. Now on to the Fast Five. First up, from Marvel, we have Amazing Spider-Man number 596. Now, this is part 2 of the American Sun storyline. Issue 1 came out last week, and I had a review up on that too. Harry joins the Avengers Tower. He is going to be working there with the Avengers. The Avengers don't like this because they think, great, one of us is going to get replaced. He's going to become the new Green Goblin or whatnot. No, it's not true, but even Harry does it despite Peter saying, don't do this, you're going to relapse, it's a bad idea. He says, hey, let me make the decisions for myself. So Spidey comes up with a cool plan to infiltrate the tower as Spider-Man. Meaning he has to switch out with Venom, the current Spider-Man, and he takes Venom's place on the team, and it seems that Norman does have some plans for his son that he's just not telling him yet. And this is Peter thinking, see, good thing I'm here to, put a stop to this nonsense. So I can't wait to see what happens next, can't wait to see when he's found out, etc. Very fun stuff. Next up from DC, we have Jonah Hex number 44. Now this is the part 1 of a 6-part storyline, and usually that doesn't happen in Jonah Hex. You usually get one and dones or little 2 arcs, but 6-part series, it's gonna be insane, especially after the first issue. Especially after we just open with bodies falling from the sky from a twister. It's quite the gruesome page, and you're like, whoa! Was not expecting that. That's new. I haven't seen that before. But Jonah Hex falls into a little trap set by an old enemy, Quentin Turnbull. They beat the crap out of him, and then they leave him to suffocate in a Texas funeral, which is where they bury you underground while you're still alive in the coffin, to suffocate. It's a fun little way to die, I guess. Meanwhile, Tallulah Black and Batlash make an appearance. Yes, that crazy, zany, rated G Batlash. He makes an appearance in this book. And turns out, since they're associated with Hex, they're going to get some crap beat out of them too. But turns out our hero, Jonah Hex, crawls out from the grave with the help of grave robbers, and he is off to teach Quentin Turnbull a lesson. So it's going to be a very cool little 6-arc series. I can't wait to see what Palmiotti and Gray have up their sleeves. Next up, from Vertigo, we have Scalped number 29. Now this is the issue where the heist takes place, and Dashiell Bad Horse is just stoned out of his mind. Especially after being like confronted, saying like, I know you're FBI, you're going to help me, or else I'm going to rat you out to Red Crow. And he's just like, what the fuck's going on? He can't even get his keys out of his pocket to open up the back of the casino to where they keep all the money. So a bloody shootout happens. Dash is tied to a railing, and he's about to get killed by the villain, or the guy in charge. He's like, okay, well, you know, you're no longer good to me, and I don't want you telling Red Crow that was me. So as he's about to pull the trigger, he's wearing Dashiell's jacket, and Dashiell left in there a little thing of heroin for earlier, and it stabs the guy inside, and it turns out it's not heroin, it's rat poison. His drug dealer was trying to kill Dashiell, and yet he kills the guy in charge of the heist instead, giving Dashiell many things to think about. Not only that, but then he confesses to Carol at the end that he's FBI. So it's a crazy little cliffhanger, very, very, very action-packed issue. I've been loving Scalped through and through. Next up from Dynamite, we have The Boys number 31. So after a story arc, we finally are promised this is going to change everything. Okay, I'll listen to the hype, and sure enough, it does actually. It starts off with the boys keeping some superheroes in check. How they do that, they just beat the shit out of them and have a little reminder like, you know, don't kill prostitutes or you know, blah blah blah. But so the female goes on her little daily routine of beating up mobsters. Well, it turns out someone else is waiting there for her, and he wants to kill the female. And so it's this German superhero character, and she's not on the blue stuff, so she doesn't. Her powers are useless against him. She tries to scratch his face off. Her fingers pretty much get severed. So then she gets beat to a pulp. We don't know if she's been beaten to death or just enough to send a message. But either way, shit is going to be going down next issues. The boys do not tolerate one of their own being fucked up like this. So I can't wait to see what happens next. And finally this week from DC we have The Mighty number 5. Now this is a creation by Mr. Peter J. Tomasi, not in the DC universe, which is like, thank God we don't need another hero there. But if we focus on this one guy named Alpha 1, he's like the Superman of that world, everyone loves him. But in the past couple of issues we've been finding out that he might not be all that great after all. He might be starting these big disasters before he comes in to save the day. Turns out an ex-captain, Taylor Rhines, confronts the current captain, Captain Cole, saying like, hey, you think all this is just coincidence? Or how he checked that one autopsy on the other ex-captain? You know, that's why I severed my hand, which had the communicator device on it, so he can't follow me. Turns out Alpha 1 catches this guy, says, you know, I lost you, but now I found you. And it turns out that Alpha 1 is doing experiments on people, just regular civilians, and he might not be all that great of a guy after all. It was a very creepy little reveal. Peter G. Tomasi sure knows how to tell a good story, and I can't wait to see what happens next in this miniseries. Well, comic book fans, that does it for this week for Camy's Comic Corner. If you want more Camy's Comic Corner, goodness, go to www.camyscomiccorner.com. From there you can subscribe to us on the RSS feed or on iTunes. Also, if you like any of the kick-ass t-shirts that you see me wearing, Watchmen, head on over to www.deadlinegraphics.net and send Kelly an email. There's only one name that I trust when it comes to comic book t-shirts, and that is Kelly over at deadlinegraphics.net. And also, speaking of sponsors, we have rsc-online.com. Rising Sun Creations is our newest sponsor to the show, and they specialize in manga, collectible toys imported straight from Japan, and U.S. comic books. So you got the best of both worlds in one store, or on their online store at rsc-online.com. Rising Sun Creations, thank you so much for being my sponsor. And because they're my sponsor, we're having another contest for another copy of Stephen King's The Dark Tower, The Gunslinger Born. This is where it all starts, people. Well, actually, it starts in his actual books. But this is, for comic book-wise, this is where it all starts. If you want a copy of The Gunslinger Born, send me an email at cammyscomiccorner@gmail.com with the subject line, Dark Tower. How about that? Yeah, let's make it simple this time. I don't want to go wacky. And one winner will be randomly selected. And so thanks once again to Rising Sun Creations for sponsoring such a cool contest. Well, that does it this week for Cammy's Comic Corner. I wish you all a good rest of the week, and expect the Star Trek review finally coming out next week. I got you the Indies Comic episode this week. You can wait another week for another additional episode. Sayonara, people.